Historical Reconstruction of Aryan X. Episode 34. Humanism and Theism. Does an omnipotent creator truly exist? A divine being, Shin, who fashioned humans? Or did humans invent the notion of an omnipotent creator, calling this entity God, Shin? First, I will illuminate the fundamental differences between the concept of God in modern Christianity, Islam, and Catholicism, and the Eastern theological perspective that was centered in Central Asia. This is the root of the distinction between the Western and Eastern views of the divine that we grapple with today. The common thread in the Eastern teachings of Bulgyo, Fotgyo, the enlightened teachings of Buddhism, Yugyo, which encapsulates the thoughts of Confucius, and Sengyo, the mystical teachings of divine hermits, is the character for person, in, which is at the heart of these philosophies. In other words, these are human-centered ideologies. In Hanja, the character in is called saram, meaning person. This character is present in the Eastern philosophies of Bul, Yu, and Sen. Furthermore, the Hanja character for Sen, Shin, with its mystical meaning, does not refer to the omnipotent God of Western thought. Instead, it signifies individuals in human society who possess supernatural, outstanding, or enlightened abilities. This is distinctly different from the Christian concept of an all-powerful God. The land of Chanchukguk in Central Asia, where these individuals with mystical abilities resided, was called Shindo, the divine capital. It is crucial to understand that the concept of sin, Shin, in Western thought, as seen in Christianity, and the Eastern understanding of sin, Shin, are fundamentally different. Does this mean that Eastern thought disregards the concept of an omnipotent God? Not at all. The idea of an omnipotent divine being does exist in Eastern philosophy. The Eastern concept of a creator sin, Shin, is one that creates, harmonizes, develops, and extinguishes all things. However, this divine being is formless and bestows equal benefits upon all without discrimination. Praying to this entity does not guarantee personal wishes will be granted. Its principles apply equally to all people. A crucial aspect of Eastern, and particularly Korean thought, is the idea of enshrining this divine presence within oneself. This elevates every human being to a precious and significant existence on par with the divine, establishing an equal relationship between humanity and God. Consequently, there is no need for intermediaries like pastors or priests to connect with and recognize this spiritual existence. In Christianity, the existence of the very God they believe in cannot be proven. So what is the validity of intermediaries like pastors and priests? In the Eastern tradition of offering rights to the heavens, it is assumed that a divine entity exists which bestows upon humanity the principles and benefits of life and death. While this being cannot be directly proven, the sole entity who represents humanity in offering rites of gratitude to the heavens is the Chanwangnim, the Buddha, the king of the enlightened ones in Central Asia. The one who acts on behalf of the Chanwangnim in paying respects to the heavens is the emperor, the Chanja, who is considered the son of the Chanwangnim. In the East, the only one who can directly perform these rites to the heavens is the emperor, the Chanja, who is the head of the government. The Eastern conception of the divine does not create a division between you and I. It is a universally applicable ideology for all of us. This divinity does not take sides and does not interfere directly in human affairs to create miracles. Even if I were to point my finger at the sky and curse, the heavens would not punish me. In Korean thought, the Chan, or heaven, that is said to inflict divine punishment is not the terrifying spiritual creator we might imagine, but humanity itself. When people are consumed by their own comfort and selfish desires, this human world is not called Chan, like heaven. However, when people's minds are united in the practice of sharing and pursuing the common good, and all of humanity is saved, then we call this society Chan, like heaven. The agent that transforms the world into a realm of greed tainted by selfish desires, or into a paradise on earth where everyone can live well, is not some unprovable, omnipotent God in the distant heavens, but we, the human beings who live and breathe together. Modern-day Christianity and Catholicism are nothing more than groups consumed by greed and selfish desires. I sincerely hope you will understand the true intentions of Aryan X. The age of Jajayul, like self-control. Ironically, our ancestors in ancient Central Asia are said to have lived in an age of Jajayul, an era of self-regulation where they governed their own 5 desires and 7 passions of human life. This age of Jajayul was a society of enlightened hermits who had achieved self-mastery and virtue. It was a society where individuals could overcome and resolve everything on their own, without the need for external divine threats, laws, or regulations. However, as food became scarce, the temptation of the omi, like 5 flavors represented by grapes, caused the breakdown of Jajayul in human society. This led to the emergence of suchal, the act of monitoring others. In other words, the custom of self-regulation disappeared, and society entered an era of taje, of being regulated by others. The constant aspiration in Chanchukuk, the holy land of Buddhism in Central Asia, was to create a world of Jajayul, where humans govern themselves. The Eastern philosophies of Confucius's Yugyo, the enlightened teachings of Bulgyo, and the mystical teachings of the divine hermits in Sengyo are all humanistic teachings that exist for the realization of Jajayul, in self-control. In this humanistic society, a view of the divine emerged to maintain a sense of tension for each individual's pursuit of self-mastery and virtue. This is known as Shin Dok and Geishin Kongu. The concept of Shin in Hab-il, or Chen in Hab-il, where the human and the divine become one, meant that a divine presence was inherent within me, constantly observing me. This tension became a powerful tool for self-regulation and the pursuit of self-mastery. In the age of Taje, which had become morally lax after the temptation of the Omi, the belief that a divine being was always present within, watching over me, became a path back to Jajayul, a state of self-regulation, through the practices of Shindok and Geishin Kongu. The center for the Scythian Aryans from all over the world who sought to realize their own self-mastery and virtue and move towards Jajayul for the sake of this humanistic ideal was the great papal state of the world in Central Asia, the holy land of Buddhism, Chanchukuk. The age of humanism. To be precise, humanism, or theism, is not a world governed by an absolute divine being. Rather, it is a world governed by people who believe that such a being exists. In theism, the divine, as in Christianity, is a terrifying spiritual entity that exists outside of myself. In this view, humans become subordinate to God. It is very difficult to transition from theism to humanism. That is, unless one breaks through and opens the door for themselves, it is impossible to change dimensions. However, it is very easy to move from humanism to theism. And from theism, it is possible to move into a state of lawlessness at any time. Human corruption can happen in an instant. That is why attaining enlightenment is such an arduous path, while human beings fall in a single moment. If you believe that an omnipotent God exists, then one does. If you believe one doesn't, then one doesn't. But what is important is not whether God exists or not, but that this God will not grant your personal wishes, nor will it be interested in you. Therefore, the only way is for me to become a heaven with a unified mind. The Eastern view of the divine seems to have emerged as a moral and ethical norm, a center for people's consciousness and values. In other words, the divine does not actually exist, but it appears as a valuable concept for moral and normative purposes. Furthermore, the Eastern Chanshin, like deity, has been perceived as a warm, parental figure, not a terrifying spiritual being that directly restricts and interferes in the human world. In contrast, the Christian view of the Chanshin, like deity, is that of an enforcer of moral and ethical norms, a terrifying spiritual being that directly restricts and interferes in the human world, and occasionally creates miracles for its own chosen few. Of course, I do not believe that the Christianity and Catholicism of Europe before the 1800s are the same as the Christianity of today. This is because people like those in modern Christianity are not the type to practice asceticism in a monastery on a Greek mountaintop for any particular purpose. The forgiveness of sins in Christianity. Who can forgive whose sins? Pastors, priests, the Pope. Who are you to be able to forgive anyone's sins? Are you priests of God? Then can you prove the existence of that God? Sins are not something to be forgiven. If I commit a sin, it will probably not disappear in my lifetime. Of course, the fact of that sin will remain even after I die. The problem starts here. To repent for a sin and ask for forgiveness, one must perform so many good deeds that the stain of the sin is no longer visible.
The good deeds must cover the sin so completely that it cannot be seen or found, and so that everyone can forgive it. Only then can it be said that forgiveness for the sin has been achieved. Even then, though the sin may be forgiven, it does not disappear. It is strange and ridiculous that a pastor, priest, or anyone else can absolve someone of their sins. If forgiveness of sins is this easy, it can become a place that mass produces more sins. Religion should not be a place that forgives sins, but a place that helps sinners repent and correct their hearts so they can walk on the right path. If those who forgive and absolve sins commit sins themselves, who forgives them? On Chan-do-ge, the right for guiding the soul. Many people believe in the existence of the soul, but no one has actually proven it. I hope you will not live your lives in fear and terror of such a non-existent entity. That is madness. The Chan-do-ge as a Buddhist ceremony to guide the deceased to the next life, performed in Buddhism, is not done because souls actually exist. It is performed for the purpose of bringing comfort and peace of mind to the living who believe in souls, and it should be performed with that intention. Are there any monks who actually believe in souls?
When you go to a temple, do not be content with the fact that you have bowed to your idol, the Buddha. If you pledge to yourself that you will emulate and follow the heart with which the Buddha acted for humanity, you will achieve enlightenment. There is no omnipotent Chonshin-like deity, and there are no souls. They are merely concepts in our minds. Finally, in the next episode, I will reveal the moment of the birth of Greece, the origin of European civilization. I sincerely hope that you will contact many people and participate in this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The heavens and the earth will tremble. The subtitles can be translated into the language of each country, so please make use of them. If you have any issues, please leave a comment or contact me via Google Mail. My Google Mail address is aryanrealhistory@gmail.com. The YouTube video address is Historical Reconstruction of Aryan X or History Restoration of Aryan X. Your subscriptions and likes are a testament to your conscience and passion for the truth, so please do not forget them.